Sorry for the radio silence the past couple days. I've been trying to get a lot of my backlog caught up, a whole bunch of hot rods and Fender reissues that were awaiting capacitors that finally arrived. And A, doing the videos would have slowed those down. B, you've seen a lot of those videos on this channel already. It would have been retreading material. But there's something here on this old blues DeVilles, which is of note. I inherited some of this work from a previous tech, and most of it was done well. Massive heat sink on those 330 ohm resistors. And that's one way to skin the cat. But the remaining thing to be fixed, and you'd think it would be a good thing, is the previous tech replaced the plastic input jacks with these switchcrafts. And that's problematic for a few reasons. Number one, they wired them exactly the same, so the tip shunts to ground when nothing's plugged in. So you're not getting the different gain levels, and it's not the circuit working as designed. That doesn't give the hum. What does potentially give the hum is that they did not use isolating washers on these jacks. So there was a ground connection to chassis here at the jack, and also a ground connection to the chassis here at this obvious connection to chassis. More on that in a moment. It's also problematic because this is near to a 1/2 inch chassis hole, and these are 3/8 inch jacks, and that's just a lot of wiggle room. And even with a toothed washer, it doesn't really sit there well. So it might be better for me to replace these with some long bushing jacks with insulated washers. So the only chassis connection is here. I could lift this and have the only chassis connection be at the input jack, but I don't trust the connection because it's not centered in those holes, and the tooth washers don't get as tight because there's a slight angle there. I'm going to test that theory that what I'm hearing might be a ground loop caused by a chassis connection to ground here and here. I'm going to do that by disconnecting this lead, which goes from the board, this quick connect from the board to chassis, and get my meter and see if I still have continuity from that point to ground, even with that wire disconnected. I suspect that I will, but it may not be a perfect and reliable connection to ground there because the tooth washers, yeah. All right, so let me power the amp on, and we're going to see if that hum is present. Let's go out of standby. All right, you hear white noise, but no hum. So let me power this off so you don't see me working in a live amp, and reconnect this ground wire. All right, the volume's still at noon. Let's take it out of standby. All right, hear that hum now. If I disconnect this ground wire, so ground loop, classic ground loop. I'm going to replace those two short bushing switchcraft jacks with some long bushing switchcraft jacks, and I'm going to wire them correctly as well. Let me show you what I mean by the incorrect wiring. All right, this one has the correct shunt wire to ground. This one also has the shunt wire to ground. That needs to go away, and a connection needs to be made from this lug to this lug so that the two jacks will work as designed. But these are standard length bushings and will get replaced by long bushings, at which point this amp will be very secure. And let me show you the size difference between the bushing diameter and the hole diameter. See how it just wiggles around and there's tons of excess room? It's really difficult to get that to exactly go flush to the chassis, even with a toothed washer. This is a toothed washer, because it doesn't want to self-center. But the isolation washers that fit switchcraft long bushings exactly fit this hole diameter, so it's almost as if they intended it to be done. And as you can tell by this ground connection, they did expect the input jacks to be isolated. That's very important.